Maybe I should turn the mic on. All right, let's see how that works. That should probably be pretty helpful. All right, so I'm Coach Nazir.
And I'm Coach Fatimah.
We are two of the three founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships, as well as the authors of the book, Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored.
Yeah.
So who are we? Well, basically, I practice polygyny. That means a husband who is married to multiple spouses. You didn't hear that wrong. Polygamy is the umbrella term that pretty much means a husband or a spouse who is married to multiple spouses. Since most historical practice of polygamy has been regarding a husband with multiple wives, that term is called polygyny. So we will use them interchangeably simply because one is more well known than the other. But we do want to discuss really kind of the state of polygamy in 2026. So today, what we're going to do is share with you a number of different perspectives, number of different things when it comes to polygyny and just relationships in general, and invite some feedback, some conversation dealing with that. All right. Many times we learn what things are by also seeing what they are not. Now, if you have some questions, since we're looking here, but the camera's out there, then what we suggest you do is put a bunch of question marks in the comment section, and then prayerfully, we will be able to address it during that time. All right. Okay. Good stuff. I'm going to share to some different areas and whatnot. Let them know that we got started. But again, welcome. Let us know where you're chiming in from. And if you have some questions or concerns or some comments, so even if you want to respectfully debate and you want to get that, then let's do that too. We're here for you.
Now, IG, I just want to give you guys a little reminder, like we always do. I always do this. Make sure you guys head on over to our Outstanding Personal Relationships YouTube channel. You share the video like Coach Nadir is doing. Sharing is caring. You're going to want to comment, like, subscribe. And also, this is so important. A lot of you guys view our videos, but you're not subscribers. So you're going to want to make sure you are subscribing because you're not going to want to miss a live event or any content that we upload over there, okay? Because if you're on IG, you might get a reel or something like that. But the full video, people go, where can I find your full video? You know, because some of the clients we've even had, their husbands will give them a reel or something. Full videos are on YouTube, okay? So make sure you head on over to Outstanding Personal Relationships and hit the notification bell, as well as comment, like, share the video. So where are you guys at? Where are you chiming in from? We'll try to see. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, I'm not seeing. Okay. I see some hearts.
Yeah, I'm some likes. Even sharing this here is difficult. So it is what it is. We're going to proceed regardless. So, matter of fact, let's just jump into a little something. Now, many times people say they want the truth. They just want somebody that's going to be truthful and be honest with you and stuff like that. But as I've said many times, lots of people, women in particular, prefer a beautiful lie to an ugly truth. And it can start early. Now, though this is currently streaming on YouTube, YouTube would likely is going to have some issues with the video because we might play some things that are copyrighted, stuff like that. But we have a private community where we don't have to worry about those things. So I'm going to play this clip just to let you know what I'm talking about.
French bread pizza? I'm not allowed to use the big oven. You don't need to know the backstory, but be assured it is justified. Oh, help yourself to some Coke or Diet Coke. I put them in the fancy pictures and now I don't know which is which.
Why is she into him?
He's attractive. He's coming into his body.
Please tell me you didn't tell him that.
He deserves to know.
It's not every day that I get to introduce two amazing women to each other. Megan, this is Shelly. Shelly, Megan.
What is happening here? You invited your girlfriend to our Valentine's Day?
Yeah, because you said you thought she sounded cool. Besides, she's not my girlfriend.
I'm not?
Yeah, because you said you don't believe in ownership.
I only said that so you'd step up.
Wait, I'm being honest. I like you, and I also like you, and I don't want to hide that.
Oh, so you're a player.
No, I'm an honest man standing in front of you asking you both to go out with me. Separately, except for tonight. I made pizza for 3.
Yeah, I'm out. Me too. Do you need a ride? Sure.
Wait, where are you going? I'm coming into my body.
You're right. He was not ready to hear that.
Turn this mic back on. So what does that say about a beautiful truth versus ugly lie? Now, if you can't see that on IG, which you can't see that, if you go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/outstanding personal relationships, then you'll be able to join the conversation. You'll be able to see all the clips that we're going to share, and we're going to cut off IG anyway in just a few seconds. So you said, while we wait, for example, you said, while we wait, let me see, while we wait, have followed you for some time. Can you explain how you feel now being a first wife? I'll take that she's talking to you, Coach Fatimah, being a first
How I
wife.
feel now. You know what it is? I feel more secure in what I needed to learn in this journey and why I needed to learn it. So one of the things that I needed to learn, and I actually had a really deep conversation with my aunt about 8 years ago, and she said something really powerful to me, and it was just a general statement. And she said, you know what, when you love somebody, love them enough to let them evolve. And that didn't mean that they needed my permission to do that. That doesn't mean they need permission to do that. What they need is for things to not be disturbances while they're doing that, because that means they're trying to figure things out. You know, that doesn't mean you're going to get perfection. And that's one of the main things that I learned, was that people don't stay the same. So the man that I married is not the man that's sitting next to me right now. So he was never going to stay that age and in the same maturity level that he had at the time. And I wasn't either. So I had to value the understanding that, okay, if you love him, then part of loving him is understanding that he's not going to stay that way. And that didn't mean that was something that was bad. It was just something that is necessary. Okay. It's great to grow as long as you're growing in the right direction. Because you could be an incredible bastard. You know, you could be an amazing jerk. It could be incredible at those things. But that's one of the most important lessons that I had to learn. And in learning those lessons as a Muslim woman, it moved me closer to Allah in a way that I didn't think it would, because I didn't think the lesson would come through my husband and my children. When I was like creating the fantasy up here, I was like, I'm gonna have this husband. My parents never got married, and ooh, watch out, world, you know, because there's so much honor in it. And I never saw my parents physically embrace one another until my grandfather died. When he died, my mother said, I'm sorry you lost your father. She hugged my dad. That was the first and the last time I saw them hug one another. And it just rocked my world. And I was so glad that my children didn't have that story, that they saw us, you know, they saw us evolve as well. But I'm like, man, I'm so glad I got married, because I can't imagine my children going through that. But learning that, you know, don't be so close that your attachment style becomes something that puts somebody in constraints, and that's not where they want to be. So that was so valuable for me to learn that, because it helped with my children as well, because they didn't stay little babies. And now the majority of them are adults. Ooh, that first lesson helped me understand that everybody needs to grow in their way. And sometimes really in their own pace. And we want to rush them. Like, hurry up and grow and hurry up and be mature and they looking at us going, well, you hurry up and mature, please, because I have to deal with you too. So it's not just this one-way street, but it created such a gift in that way, to push me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that I can't look back on that with regret, you know. So yeah, that's a really, really good question.
What do you think is a challenge for women when that type of question, where that's coming from? You know what I'm saying? So many women who are initial wives have issues and challenges with that, obviously, because otherwise the question wouldn't have been asked. So what is the average person, that person who's lower on the spectrum level, if you will, where are they? You know, what is the mindset or mentality that you normally see when you're dealing with women with these types of inquiries?
I'm trying to think, but I think there's you mean like, for example,
like you said, how do you feel about being a first wife now?
How do I feel about it now?
And then how do you think many women feel about being first wives in polygyny?
I think, I've coached this, and it is it's a recurring theme that polygyny equals loss and lack and abandonment. And it's so, I've rarely heard a positive word when it comes to polygyny, because it has to equal something that I am going to lose. I'm going to lose in a number of areas. And women that specifically are initial wives will create a laundry list of ways in which we'll lose. And our husbands have not said that to us. So we'll say, we've lost love, we've lost resources, we've lost his physical presence, our children lost a father. It's just so many different things in that regard. These are really, really powerful assumptions. Really, really powerful. I had one client tell me, well, my husband doesn't love me. I used to think the same thing. And I said, well, did he tell you that? Well, no, but he can't love me because, there's only space and it's hard for one human being on the entire planet. And that doesn't include children. And, it's an impossibility that he, in fact, loves me. And I said, men, their perspective and the way they move is quite different than that, because he didn't tell you that. And if she told him that she thought that, could he feel incredibly disrespected by that assumption? Yeah, he could be upset by that because he knows how he feels. So yes, a lot of women will say, this means loss, this means death, this means my life is over, this means I don't have a husband, this means I'm a single mother, this means I'm not worthy, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not skinny enough. There's so many different things. I don't have enough children. I must have more children, because then if I do that, then I've had some women go, well, I had a new baby. I don't know what else he wants. And it's not about just adding another baby and then my husband will be happy with that baby. No, it's not like that. Because sometimes we'll think and I'm not talking about us in general, but we'll be on a level that's very superficial in a man's world. And for him, if he wants to build legacy, because I had somebody ask me this, are you done having children? Because we've had 7 biological children. And he used to make this joke until it wasn't funny, because he got married again. But I used to tell women all the time, I can laugh at this now because he's got 10. So this is real funny now, but it wasn't funny then. But I used to make this joke and I'd say, I'm done having 7 people, because I think our youngest son, I was like, was he saying here to destroy me? Because the older you get, they hurt a little bit more. And I said, he might want more children, but they can't come through this vessel because I can't. I physically can't do that. I've had 7 people walk out of my body and I'm good. But I knew deep down, although I said that in jest, I knew deep down that that was an option. And that's very, very important because it wasn't my decision to make. And a lot of people think it is their decision to make. It wasn't. It still isn't. And I don't want it to be. Okay. So, yeah, he's a whole adult.
So that interesting part about that is it reminds me of, you mentioned that men and women, they feel differently. You can't tell somebody else their feelings, right?
Yeah.
So there is a video that I'm going to share again on our YouTube channel, Outstanding Personal Relationships. You can join us over there live if you want to see what we're sharing. If not, no worries. You can stay right here. But if you also have very sensitive ears, then you might want to bow out. But I think we're all adults here. Where is the thing at? Oh, wrong area. Right here. Cool.
Do you hear me? Do you not fucking hear me? Why you like a fucking bitch? Why are you not listening to me?
All right. So on our side, it looked like it messed up a tad bit, but watching from YouTube ourselves, it looks like it's actually going okay. So, yeah, what are your thoughts about that? All right. Looking at this perspective, whoever shared it, it shared whoever the name was and stuff like that. This is just these are some different social media videos. So, what are your thoughts about that when it comes to it? You know what I'm saying? Because if we judge each other by how we feel, we're two totally different beings, totally different setups when it comes biologically, emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. So when we judge ourselves, is that really being fair? And that goes vice versa. That goes for men and women as well. We like to argue generally when it comes from a position of logic and feel that that's more superior in an argument because, it can make sense. It's not necessarily clouded by hormonal things or different changes one way or another. It's not fair weather necessarily. And we take pride with that. But at the same time, do they operate like that? Okay, is that something where we feel superior, supreme because we've never ever changed our mind on some position that we've had in the past ever been wrong? You know what I'm saying? So just being real, I'd like to know what you think. Put your questions in the comments. Put your comment there. Let me know. Is that more likely how we operate? Or is it just a lack of maturity and growth to be able to see it from a different perspective? There's some of this old wisdom that we were taught when we were younger with walk in their shoes or put yourself in their place coming into play now for us as adults. And we thought it was just youthful sayings when we were coming up with old folks or older folks asking us to, look at it from a different perspective. All right. So watch it one more time. Make sure that it comes through because it's actually pretty dope.
Do you hear me? Do you not fucking hear me? Why you like a fucking bitch? Why are you not listening to me? I'm tired of talking.
You got her together.
Just saying, right? So here's one of the most powerful things that should be understood by anybody that is being serious when it comes to relationships, right? And that is understanding what team really is, who the leader, who the coach really is, and how it operates. It's not just, for example, sometimes people think that polygyny is monogamy plus one, when that's not it at all. There's so many different dynamics that there's no way to really test it until you get in it. There's a way to prepare, no doubt, and the first way to prepare is to recognize that you're unprepared. All right, this is a thing that you learn while doing, similar to swimming or riding a bike and driving a car. You're gonna learn it while doing it. So again, it's not monogamy plus one or some side chick or somebody on side of responsibilities and rights with this. You operate it if you're operating in a moral fashion. So one of the things that's important in the great mindset this young lady spoke about or speaks about, I'm going to share with you. It's right here.
Many wives are their husband's vision killer. One thing you need to understand as a wife, when you get married to your man, you're not just marrying that man that you were once in love with. You are marrying his goals, his aspiration, his vision. You are marrying that very thing that keeps him up at night. That thing that he pictures in his head. That's what you're getting married to. Many women make their husbands feel stupid for having a dream, for having a God-given dream that he pursues daily. They scorn at their husbands and they say things like, oh, we will see where it ends. Oh, you tried that and it didn't work out. Everything you try out does not work out. They discourage him. They make him feel like he's incompetent. They make him feel like he was not given a dream or a vision by God. They ridicule him. And they don't realize that these words, they are slowly but surely killing his vision. When you are a wife, you need to be obsessed about your husband's dream. You need to be obsessed about his vision. What drives him? What is his vision, his mission? What is his mandate here on earth? What are the systems that he wants to put in place to build his kingdom? You need to be so persuaded and so obsessed about that man's vision as if it's your own. You need to put in the effort to ensure that, my love, you will be what God said you will be. I will put in the effort. I will make sure that you become that great king that God has called you to be. Because I, as your wife, I believe in you. I believe the vision and the dream you have for us as a family. I believe where you are taking us. I know that you are leading us to a place of milk and honey. I believe that you will not
What happened?
Thank you, Davis Armstrong, 9939.
Oh, no, they couldn't hear us.
Let's unmute after.
Shut up. We were saying some good stuff. Okay, what were you saying? And then I'll say what I was saying in response. So just paraphrase, Coach.
Oh, man.
Y'all, man. Oh, righty
The
then.
best
Thank
stuff
you.
ever. Only if you could have heard it.
Yeah. Read it.
Oh, man. Yeah, we're not talking anyway during the during the thing. That sucks. All right, appreciate that though, bro. Yeah. So
How about y'all?
see, y'all was
I
saying
was
something
responding
early.
to that.
All right. So basically, what I was saying is that we have a framework, right? And that framework, interestingly enough, is titled Frame. With Frame, matter of fact, let me. Yeah, I know you haven't heard none since last clip. We get it. I know there was just
Sorry
a
about
short
that,
delay. My bad. Forgot to unmute it after you came back. So, but this is basically what I was saying from my memory is that we had this framework called Frame. So, as eloquently as she was breaking down the support that a wife should provide a husband, the first question is, do you have something that you are moving towards? Is there a vision, a big picture? Is there a goal? And there's something that's bigger than you that you are moving toward, that you can articulate, that you can paint, that you can go ahead and share with your family, that drives you, that allows you to get up, energized, and excited about the mission that you're headed towards. That's bigger than a wife and the children, the family, all that kind of stuff. Do you have something like that? That's moving in that direction. These are the beneficiaries of it, of course, but do you have it? Do you have that ambition? Are you moving in that direction, or are you satisfied living around a whole bunch of mediocre people? You know, you just striving for average, just trying to get by. Because if that's the case, okay, cool. But don't even try to entertain the idea of polygyny. It's not for the average Joe. The average Joe can want it, but I encourage every man to strive to be exceptional, to strive to be able to be qualified to practice polygyny, even if that is not necessarily your goal, for what it will make of you. So if you want that type of support, then you're going to need to have something to support that you can articulate and that you're working towards and everything else. Now, that does not mean she's automatically going to go ahead and get on board and be supportive, as the young lady was discussing. All right. Because she might not have that in her character. She may be that dream killer and so on and so forth. And you might be sleeping with the enemy. Who knows? I mean, there's ways to figure that out too, utilizing our framework. But that's what I was saying first. And then, of course, I asked Coach Fatimah, what did she, or what does she think about that? And now that you can hear us, we're unmuted, I will ask her to proceed.
Alrighty. So, okay. What I was saying is that a lot of times, and I'll cut down the time in which I was saying it. We as wives, like I didn't know to do this until years later, but I understood through just a lot of study and reading and listening to perspectives of men and how they process things, because their processor is completely different than ours. They have a mission, and they have a vision. And if you're not in on that and you don't want to be a part of that, they have a serious issue with that, because then it starts to get into the realm of loyalty and trust and all those different things, which are very valuable to men. Respect, because we get a little heartbroken when we find out men that they much rather you respect them more than love them so much and be in love with them. Have you seen two men get disrespected by another man, by their children, by the women in their lives, by their parents? It can get ugly. It can get dangerous in many cases because they value it so deeply, just like they value the mission that they're on and their vision. I was speaking about a man in another country. We lived in Turkey, and he was almost 90 years old, and he'd be on a bench every day in front of our units where we lived with his cane in his winter coat every day, like clockwork. He could have gotten to bed. He could have stayed in the house. Why? Why was he on this bench? Because even if his mission for the day was to get to that bench, then he was going to get there, and nobody was going to stop him from getting there. He could have been dealing with dementia. He could have been he clearly had disability, right? Or disabilities. But he made sure he got to that bench. What is the statistics on men retiring? What happens to them after they retire? There's depression that happens, even they pass away, and they'll say, oh, they passed from water. We know it's different. However, we get it, because the purpose to just sit there and just stare out the window. They said men are more affected by cabin fever in the winter. They suffer more from winter depression. Why? Because I can't be hungry. Go out there and get it. I'm being restricted, and I'm encapsulated in this house because there's a blizzard out there of epic proportion, and I need to get out. A lot of divorces happened during COVID because people are in the house and they're trying to self-regulate these emotions that they didn't really have to deal with, because they could go out and, go to the gym and burn it off and all these different things. And we expect men to process like women, to talk like women, to act like women, and all the things, and not have a vision, because then if you have a vision, then I might have to attach myself to that, and I don't feel like it. I don't want to be. That's a problem. That's a problem. We want to see, when we hear monogamy, we hear that word me. Monogamy means mine, means what I want, and usually the voice behind monogamy is feminine. The wedding is for the wife. They'll say that. The men will go put their suit on and go, let me know when to show up, because the balloons and flowers and the candles, floating candles, and the hundreds of pounds of shrimp on ice for the shrimp cocktail. You don't care about that. You want to get married. You don't care about none of that fluff. It's for the woman. But when we hear monogamy, we hear me. And it has nothing to do with our husbands sometimes. Now, is that for every woman? No, of course not. It's not for everybody. But that's important to understand how that sounds, because we can hear the sound of selfishness in that. It's not just our marriage. So their mission and everything that supports their mission, even their wives or their wife, it has to be in alignment with who that man is. It's so important to them. So important to them.
Indeed, when you have that support, it helps build you up and give that drive, because there can be peaks, there can be valleys. It will allow you to be more steady and mainstream when it comes to hitting what you need to hit and making moves the way you need to move them, versus being that anchor that just slows you down and really holds you back. You can lose a lot of life with dealing with something that's draining the lifeblood out of here. It's to work with brothers in business, spouses weren't supportive, and they're trying to build something for their family to really get things done. And just this lack of support caused them to be all depressed and not feel like that friends, so on and so forth. And, a lot of those relationships ended up not working just because, well, I can't say just because and to say there's one thing, but there's a whole collection of things. But one is being able to read that as a lack of respect for this person's vision, who wants to do it for the family. Like the whole vision is for the family. You're the beneficiary of it. So whole nother level of the game, but that's so important. Again, as I talked about before, men spell love RESPECT. So much so they even made a song after it. Now let's jump into another one, and I will unmute it after the fact.
Getting older, I feel like I understand polygamy more. Like I honestly, and obviously this is not the whole species of men, but I feel like most men are not created to be with one woman. Like, I feel like that's why it works so well for a man to have multiple households and not switch up. Like us
That's
as women, like, like some women can do it, obviously, be like, oh, I'll be with this nigga and then I'll be with that nigga. But for the most part, a man can really manage, I don't know how many, but 1 to 2 households and still be present in both households.
It's crazy.
So like,
All right, I told you, if your ears sensitive, then tonight's not for you, apparently. But how interesting it is that when many women get older, they really see the value in polygyny and operating. Is it because she was looking with eyes that took the emotion and different changes out, or the different challenges and preconceptions and so on out, and looking at her own personal situation? Because if you've only been at a certain place, as in up here, looking at, let's say, 18 to 30, but once you hit 30, you see those dynamic shift, because that's literally when men on the sexual marketplace, their value becomes more than women if they've been building during that time, because men at 18 are down here, don't have anything. All right, 19, 20, 21, all they really have is looks, but they don't really have the resources that women are really checking for. So not until 30, until they really hit that, do things switch. So her now being over 30, is that what caused it? What y'all think it is? What would you say? What you think?
Being over 30.
Mm-hmm. Being over 30, now all of a sudden women are looking at options and looking at polygyny differently. I mean, you only have a few more years until then what's considered geriatric pregnancy.
Yeah, it thing whips work around the corner. Like you'll be 30 and 35 and they're already saying geriatric pregnancy. So one of the reasons I think women start to do this self-audit is because they're approaching 40. They're approaching 40. And that can be very intimidating. So we'll notice that some men, but especially women, will scramble. And life turns into this shamble, and you'll go, oh my God, I gotta hurry up and have kids, and I gotta hurry up. But everything's hurry up because the clock gets louder. It's not just ticking, it's getting louder and louder and louder, right? So like I was speaking before, when I had my child at 20, that was much different than having a child at 38. Then it's like, then people start talking to you like your brain left the chat at the hospital and doing a lot of this nodding here. Well, and handing pamphlets and pretty much telling you your time going to be up soon. Quit doing this to yourself and your baby. And then they're testing the baby for things and stuff wrong with the child. Yes, because they are not living in delusion at the hospital. They're living in reality. And listen, the math says that you need to cut this out. He can keep going though. You need to chill because he can go into his 70s, And I said, that's very interesting. They don't talk to us the same in these instances. They start saying, sir, you need to be careful because your wife is at an age where they don't throw any of that on him. They're like, go off and party like it's 1999, but she is going to end up in the ICU if you're not careful with her. And we'll give your husband papers to sign for you, right? Because they have warned you, done everything else, but we think that we have all this time. We have all this time. But then when we find out, ooh, I hit 30, I hit 33, well, I've been in 36, and I'm almost 40. Things start to get really real. Meanwhile, our husbands might be in that space where they're going, yeah, I already thought about all of that. What was it? The whole controversy with Deion Sanders and Karuchi Tran. Why is everybody up in arms? Because Deion is 58 and rich and an NFL legend. And then you got Karuchi, and they go, oh, she's so young. Karuchi Tran, now, I don't know you guys, but I think she's 37 years old, and everybody has lost their minds. So then she's thinking, maybe I might want to have kids. He's got 5 of them. He might be the guy, right? But everybody lost their mind. Where's all this time? And why is this an issue? Because now, see, we're making the things look taboo that really should not be. What's wrong with somebody that's 40 almost dating somebody that's almost 60? Well, we just don't like it. What's wrong with a man having more than one wife? Well, we just don't like that. But we have no problem with a man jumping into our dresses or a woman jumping into the Dockers and staying in them. We don't have no problem with any of that. We have a problem with polygyny. We have a problem with this man being much older than her. But then we want to talk biological clocks, and I'm sitting here with 7 kids going, well, I think I'm done because that's a lot of people. And then I'll go, and you're done too. Now, why is it funny? We laugh because it's ridiculous.
No,
it's ridiculous
to look at the math.
To put that on us.
Even how we built on what you're talking about was really is that, all right, I have 10 biological children, right? 2 bonus kids. So I can have 10 more children in marry 2 wives, have a kid every year by each of them. In 5 years, I get 10 more kids, and that'd be 20.
No, I know.
You know what I'm saying? Now that's with somebody with morals and practice polygyny. So one or more children, I got 10 more within the next 5 years. You know, if that was the play. All right, that's not in my plans necessarily. So there's that. And then if that's not, you know, if you Nick Cannon in it or Elon Musk in it, have 10 more kids this year. Before the year is out, have 10. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's much more accepted, unfortunately. So
but then if I say that, there goes, girl, stop. Everybody will tell me, you're gonna pass away. Don't do it to yourself. Why? Why can't I have 10 kids in the next, what did you say? 5 years? No. It's not good.
You have what, 2 at a time, twins and this and that.
But people will come, yeah, that's an assumption, the twins part, right? So then they'll give me a list of why I should, and then give a list why he can. Why can't he? How come I can't do that? Because we're not the same. We're not the same. And we're busy trying to be the same. Boy, he should do it, and I should be able to do it too. You want to do that?
So let's talk about what Shahrazad talking about.
Oh, okay.
She OG.
I've been
Men
waiting.
write and tell me that they have had 2 women for 5, 10, 15, and 20 years, and they can't even get the women to speak to each other. Sometimes they have 2 families.
Would I want
2 sets of children.
would I want to talk to a woman who's sharing perhaps the bed and the money and the social life with who I would deem as my man?
If you want to deal in reality, and if you are not insecure, and if you don't think that that robs you of something, you would want to know them. If he loves her, you certainly should want to know her. And that's a frightening thought to most of us. And I don't like that. I'm in agreement with everybody else. Our men ought to just have 1 woman. But that is not the reality. I'm trying to get us to deal with some reality for a change. Stop dealing with fantasy. Stop dealing with television. Stop dealing with imagination of how we wish things were. Let's deal with them how they are, what it is. And
But
if we
because
deal with
that's
that,
happening
then
doesn't mean I have to like that or
no,
want
that
to
means
accept
that you
that.
can live in hell. That means you can live in doubt. That means that you can always be checking on your man. That means that you can be insecure, and that means you can be disappointed when you find out the real truth. And you don't want to have that in your life. None of us do. But in order not to have that, then we have to deal with some reality. A lot of black men write and tell me that they have.
Okay, that hurt so much. This woman, she used to strike fear in talk show hosts back in the day because they couldn't do nothing with her. But I love what she was saying. You know, we could sit up here and be delusional and act like things aren't what they are. We can deal in reality. So I know I had 2, what was it, my grandpa and my dad. And one thing I knew about them, if I didn't know one thing at all about those 2, is they loved women. Sometimes at the same time. Sometimes while they were married. And as I became Muslim, I was like, you know, there's no cheating with Muslim. Worry about that. And then this was like, but there's this thing that they can do. And I was going, what? She said they can have more than 1 wife. And I said, well, I thought that was something that they used to be able to do. And I got around the right women, and they educated me so much. I'm so blessed to have the teachers that I've had in my life. And they said, no, it doesn't change. There's no expiration date. You know, we want to put one there, so we want to deal with it. And that's some of the best advice I ever got, because what happened to me, even in my most afraid moment, is that I understood that polygyny, and the way it is in Islam, it's regulated. So I didn't have to feel the same way my grandmother or stepmother felt when they were cheated on. I said, this is not cheating. But are we at the maturity level to have that conversation about polygyny and how it's regulated, and how my husband was not different in that. He just, my eyes are just for you. That's it. I don't see nothing else. Right? Like he had blinders on, and that's just not the reality. Men look at what is good looking. That don't mean they gawk, violate, or anything like that. And if they want to expand their family, this is a way to do it. This is a way to do it. There's a solution to that. So I love this clip. And it's funny, did you guys notice that she couldn't even get it out before the host started interrupting her? Yeah, but no, why don't I have to? And she got defensive right off the jump. She got upset. I said, what is it? Because we sometimes, and some women do, want to take this ownership of their husband, what he does. And it is a means and a way to have the illusion of control. Because I'll tell you this, and I'm gonna stop talking. But one of the things that women do, and they jam themselves up this way. The men are not doing this to them, they're doing it to themselves. When we think we have control, we do not. What happens is, if a man is quiet, if he's not sharing, if he's not moving towards something, what he has done, even if it's very gently, he's practiced a form of restraint, and he has made a decision for himself to not talk to you about polygyny based off of your reaction to it. We're not controlling him in that regard. We're not controlling anything. He's delaying something. And in that delay, he's made the decision. In the decision to not talk to you about it, he's made the decision. He's made the decision not to do it and has talked to you. He's made the decision to do it and has talked to you. He's made all those decisions. So if you think that you talking and threatening and saying what he's not going to do and what we're not doing and you're not qualified to do, and we're done having kids, those comments, he's still sitting there listening to you and making a decision to delay, but it's his decision. And I have to say that because there's some delusion in, well, I made him and I told him and he better not, and all of that stuff. He's still deciding for himself the entire step of the way. I just have to say that.
Indeed. So Hawaii, yeah, we are taking questions. So feel free to put question marks in front of it. One of the things also I want to really push is that, or not push, just remind you kind of just of that last discussion. We don't necessarily celebrate, endorse these people's opinions. These are just different discussion points, because the reality is you likely know, like I know, people who choose the immoral path. So whether they cheat, have girlfriends, side chicks, jump downs, whatever it may be, somebody on the side or what have you, that's well known throughout many different cultures, right? It's fully accepted, unfortunately, and it's just treated as a certain way, which is demeaning to women, belittles them, and does not allow them the same honor, everything else at all. So it's really upside down to see how something as honorable and noble as marriage and protecting the family unit through the nuclear family can be challenging. When, of course, it's challenging to the bigger structure that's out there because of the power that comes with it. Like I said, I want to have 10 more children in 5 years. And you have a family that can be independent or off the grid and whatnot. And they're raised with certain principles and certain mission that can be considered a threat by those who might not necessarily have your best interest in mind, or they may want to do things in nefarious ways. And you work not to allow that to happen. So with that, though, here's another clip that's very important. I want you to pay close attention to it because that's one of the reasons we saved it near last.
If you really want to be married, there's certain things that you just got to stop doing. Our daughter's 21. She's in a very beautiful and committed relationship. She gets the balance of messaging that she needs from mom, but she gets the critical messaging that she needs from dad. And I told her one day, I said, have you ever seen the movie The Bodyguard? And she said, no. I said, come on, we go inside, watch the movie The Bodyguard. We're about halfway through. I paused the movie. I said, what have you learned so far? Every single time Kevin Costner is telling Whitney Houston's character what to do in order to remain out of harm's way. What happens when she doesn't receive that direction? Because this is real life right now. Because if your man is in charge of protecting, because a man is supposed to be provider protector. If I explain something to you because I understand guys, take my direction.
Right.
Because my job is to keep you out of harm's way. Every time you don't, not only do you expose yourself, but now you expose me. The world can't touch me until they touch me through you. So you got to take my direction so that I can protect the both of us. Let me tell you something. People really don't understand how hard in the paint I go for my family. One of the ways is me being Kevin Costner in the back with the earpiece while my wife is out here. Because if you get inappropriate out here, I'll knock your head off.
Speaking of folks getting their heads knocked off, I don't know if you have something to say.
Go ahead.
2 instances in one city. This guy, Coach Nazir, I told you he puts on his little Black Panther helmet sometimes. It's one of those moments. Don't do that. Don't worry, you're gonna sound great at the end of this because this was amazing. The protection part. I remember this was New Orleans. You remember we went to New Orleans for a network marketing thing. And these guys we were in the French Quarter. Anybody been down there? Shout out to you all. My grandparents were from Louisiana, but Louisiana can be very, very strange for some change in New Orleans. So I was like, ooh, I had the heebie-jeebies when I was down there, right? These guys were coming up next to us. Long story short, Coach Nyla kind of pulled me to the wall. Remember, he used to be a street guy back in the day, so he kind of knew what the vibe was. I'm like, why I got to be walking up against the wall? He said, get to my left because these guys are trying to rob us. And he just gently, he didn't go, oh my God, move, because they're going to rob us. He didn't make a scene. He was at a dull whisper. He was just like, and they came past us so fast. And had I still been standing there, they probably would have took my purse, whatever. I'm a crossbody girl, but not back then. And if he hadn't did that thing, if I had it pushed back, then it could have got ugly. Same trip, walking down the hallway. Remember that? We were walking down this long hallway, and he was with one of his closest friends at the time, another Muslim brother, educator. And this was incredible. And one of the guys had on this bright pink thing because there was some competition, some outfit. It was vibrant, and they were being very rude and disrespectful to Coach Nazir. And I saw this. It's like watching a freight train coming up. I'm like, oh God, this is gonna be bad because he is not gonna let you get away with whatever you're trying to do. And I remember in that moment, they were young, they were being disrespectful and telling him, I look at what I want to look at. And all this yapping and rah-rah. He doesn't do rah-rah. So I already knew. I'm like, I'm thinking these youngers, you need to be quiet. And so the Muslim brother was like, we're going to go. And I'm like, we're going to go. So we got Coach Nazir out of there. And I've seen sometimes what women do. Because, see, I know what he could do. So he needs to get out of this hallway because you don't know what he could do. I do. So, I remember seeing videos and hearing videos about women that said, well, I love him, but you gonna let him? And I would getting their man or their husband so upset that somebody gets very, very hurt. And I said, now she could have de-escalated this. She could have de-escalated this. But for attention's sake, oh, I want him to prove to me that he loves me. See, this is all a test. And what I'm going to do in this moment of violence, because you can speak violence, they don't have to hit each other, but you being disrespectful in my presence, and I'm married to this woman, is a problem for me as a man. And I knew that. So I said, I love my husband, and I ain't trying to catch a case down here because they asking for it. I said, I need to. And I'm going, it's okay. We're going to go. And then the brothers go, we're going and get him out of there because we love him. We love him. But I've seen this divisive thing where they go, well, I'm telling, and you need to pull up, and you need to get here, and he didn't disrespected me, and it was two of them. It was two Muslim brothers here, and I'm like, my husband, they're gonna have to scrape this dude off the ceiling if this gets out of hand, because it was nothing but space and opportunity. But now we're in this culture where it's pull up. What you gonna do? Don't you love me? You need to check him. There's no protection. So we want all this protection from the husbands or the men in our lives, our fathers, our brothers, our sons. And is what is happening is the women are just saying, here, let's throw you to the wolves, let you get locked up on that. But at least I know you love me. It's really, really, really messed up and toxic and dangerous to test your husband in such a way.
Yeah, I remember that was trash, but yeah, it is what it is. So let's hear something which you go to Frank, because when we're talking about these different levels that people are on, you should see this on your screen by now, right? This is the frame spectrum code. Basically, there are 7 levels that we all are familiar with. From the bottom, the corrupt, what we call level C1, and then C2, the combative, C3, the cynical, C4, the conformist, C5, the climbing, C6, the competent, and C7, the crown. As you can see, it's a diamond shape because most people in the middle generally are conformists or the cynical. Now, the women she was just describing, that type of behavior is C2 behavior. C2 behavior, the combative, that's where it puts you in the grave or pretty much behind bars as she goes and moves on with somebody else, because she's not really caring for you as an individual in your circumstances. So knowing who you're with will only happen under pressure. See, the issue is not polygyny, but it's polygyny pressure. And that tends to expose men who are not qualified as well, who look at it as just a fantasy and stuff like that and don't have a plan or aren't even trying to move in the right direction. And it also exposes women who aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing when it comes to maturity and growth, and they just feed themselves on, well, I'm enough, I'm perfect, nobody can ever do anything better, I've achieved that plateau. And what I mean by that is I'm going to share with you, as I close this up, this is not a training session, but as an example of men, the difference between men and women and what they learn online, this young lady had discussed. Close, please. There we go. Look at Nookie. Kind of the difference of many men's behavior online and what we look at and watch when it comes to.
Because the problem with women in social media is really not the media itself, it's what we choose to consume, right? So for men, a lot of times they consume content that is about leveling up to some extent, how to get more money, how to look better, how to attract more women, whatever. For women, oftentimes it is just content that validates you're perfect the way that you are. Everything about women is great. You don't have to change for any man. You can just keep being yourself and somebody's going to come into your life and fall in love with you just as you are. That's the issue, because then we're not growing. We're not challenging ourselves. We're not becoming better people. We're not becoming better women. And the women that do try and make content like that, y'all reject them like hell because you think that they're talking bad about you, when in reality, they're just asking you to do better, step up, become a better version of yourself, so that way you can actually get the things that you want. But y'all just want to believe that you can stay the same and get the things you want. And that doesn't make any sense. So if we collectively as women change the type of content that we consume, I think that it could help us grow. But, the girls just want to hear about what's on sale and clothes and makeup and shoes and hair and blah, 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 blah.
Just saying. So again, it speaks to general differences overall. Now, when I showed you that chart, if you were watching or kind of paying attention to it, perhaps you took a screenshot. But when you look at this frame spectrum chart, what would you say you would rate yourself? Now, many times we rate ourselves aspirationally. So I'm not going to ask you to do that. What I would ask you to do, if you really want to figure out, and if you're objective enough to tell the truth, go to polygamyquiz.com. you go to polygamyquiz.com. We put together a quiz. It's very comprehensive. You'll come out pretty much knowing what your spectrum level is, generally speaking, because it can be up and down in different areas. Some women can be great and exciting and doing all this type of stuff and so on. But then when that pressure is applied, specifically when it's coming from polygyny, it can expose some things. But thinking about that spectrum level, as a matter of fact, let me flash one more time just in case you don't recall it or weren't paying attention, or perhaps you weren't here. This is the frame spectrum code. Hopefully it'll pop up on screen quickly. It's a thing that we developed in order to really understand where and how we operate in different areas of our lives. There's kind of a general level, then there are levels in certain circumstances and situations. So, and it will expose you. But looking at this right here, and if you're smart, again, take a screenshot or whatever, then I want you to apply it over here. In this video, I want you to tell me where you think this person is while they're speaking about it in this video, in particular, this young lady.
Thing that really bothers me and like honestly has given me a sense of a little bit of an insecurity is the fact that, yeah, like there are all these women like throwing themselves, but me, like the past 10 years, like I don't have any of that. Like I have zero, this sounds weird, but like male attention. And so then like I begin to internalize it and I'm like, is something wrong with me?
You're
Like,
not looking.
what,
You're not
like,
looking. You're not even.
But I'm gonna tell you something else too. When your radar's turned off, because I dealt with that for years too. Like, and I was young, like you.
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh my
not
God.
fair.
I mean,
because I don't want it, but
Yeah.
it'd be nice to know that like someone's looking.
But
That
when
can
your
get
radar's
dangerous.
turned off, right?
You're
That can get
beautiful.
real. Don't
dangerous.
ever think for 1 minute that it ain't no some men out there looking at you like I wish.
Honestly.
And I'm gonna tell you who knows that more than anybody. Your
Definitely.
husband.
And on
I want to ask.
Ooh. Ooh.
So what say you? Looking at this red table of women, especially with Jada leading the way with her self, where would you be able to go ahead and place this category of thinking on this level, on this spectrum level? All right, because we talked about frame for men. I didn't go through all of the letters. I just talked about A. But for women, there are a few different levels that were violated here. So what would you say, Coach Fatimah?
Well, I was thinking about femininity and wanting the attention of men that I'm not married to, or a man that I'm not married to. And when she said, I kind of like some guys to look at me and, pay attention to me and whatnot. And I remember when I first married Coach Nazir, my grandmother was saying to me, she said, listen, he's not a much right man, which meant he's not a man that is going around with everybody. You married to him now. It's different. She says, so all another man should have to offer. I saw Jada Smith talking about is, who else knows that is your husband. And I'm not sure if that's Steph Curry's mother sitting to the left of his wife, talking about wanting the attention of other men. I was telling Coach Nyla while that was playing, that's diabolical. I mean, just to want the attention of other men, which violates being really, when I think about exclusivity in the women's frame, I think about who are you lending your attention to? Who are you spending time with? So if you're spending time with your husband, you're thinking about spending it with other men because your husband's in the spotlight, so to speak, or her husband's a basketball star. But how does that protect the marriage? How are you as a wife actively protecting the honor and integrity of your marriage? How does that work? Like what is that even about? What is it within you that you feel like you need or it would be nice to have the attention of another man. I've seen women have a husband, and then their husband finds out they have the attention of another man. That's an issue. That's a serious issue. That's a very serious issue.
For some reason, the camera seems like it's frozen. But if y'all can still hear us, that's cool. I don't know. I just restart the camera. I don't know what's up there. They can hear us.
You guys can hear me. Good. But that's a serious issue. Because I just can't. When she said it, I remember when she did say that, I unfollowed her because I liked her cookbooks and things. But when she said that, I said, what is wrong with her that she feels like she needs to have that attention? And then on top of that, how must her husband feel to hear that? Oh, I'd have felt incredibly disrespected, and I'm not a man. I'd have been I would have felt very disrespected.
At this point, Steph needs to forbid Aisha from doing any further interviews because she's just morally out of line.
Oh, say it again.
At this point, he needs to forbid Aisha from doing any further interviews because she is just morally out of line. But you talk about the R, respect.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the E, exclusive.
Immature. I mean, how immature do you have to be to sit there? This sounds like something that a girl in high school would say. Not a woman that has been married for some years and a mother of multiple children who's established. So it's not about Steph at all. People go, I wonder why he did. This is not about Steph. It's about Aisha Curry and what's going on with her and why she feels like she needs to vocalize this on a public platform and share it. And then Jada's sitting up there adding flames and fuel to the fire. And we already know her story, so we get why she said what she said. And everybody's kikiing and cackling. So the question would be, what do you gain from getting the attention of other men? She didn't say I'd like more attention from my husband. It would be nice to have more attention from other men. Okay. And then when those other men give you that attention and want to square up with or harm your husband or your family, then that's no longer cute. So that sounds nice to her, but for me, and I'm not a husband, it sounds incredibly disrespectful to the marriage.
Indeed, 100%. I mean, the lack of exclusivity is on a whole nother level. The dishonor that comes along with that is what it is. I mean, and then she's over there talking with a bad influence. I'll say that is one thing. So let me see. I think we got through pretty much a number of these different videos. So I'm gonna end where we started at, where many women in general prefer an ugly for a beautiful lie to an ugly truth. So let's jump back right here.
French bread pizza? I'm not allowed to use the big oven. You don't need to know the backstory, but be assured it is justified. Oh, help yourself to some Coke or Diet Coke. I put them in the fancy pictures and now I don't know which is which.
Why is she into him?
He's attractive. He's coming into his body.
Please tell me you didn't tell him that.
He deserves to know.
It's not every day that I get to introduce two amazing women to each other. Megan, this is Shelly. Shelly, Megan.
What is happening here? You invited your girlfriend to our Valentine's Day?
Yeah, because you said you thought she sounded cool. Besides, she's not my girlfriend.
I'm not?
Yeah, because you said you don't believe in ownership.
I only said that so you'd step up.
Wait, I'm being honest. I like you, and I also like you, and I don't want to hide that.
Oh, so you're a player.
No, I'm an honest man standing in front of you asking you both to go out with me. Separately, except for tonight. I made pizza for 3.
Yeah, I'm out. Me too. Do you need a ride? Sure.
Wait, where are you going? I'm coming into my body.
You're right. He was not ready to hear that.
Prayerfully, the video is not working. We can see ourselves. It looks like it's good. So, with that last clip, again, when I mentioned that many women will prefer a beautiful lie to an ugly truth, and they would prefer to jump in somebody, go through their phone, and try to see what they're doing, and suspect of this and that, and so on and so forth, versus somebody just being upfront. And apparently, it happens young, as in this clip just showed, where he's like, look, I'm just being truthful and honest and everything else. But they're like, yeah, we didn't really believe what we said. You were just trying to figure it out. And unfortunately, many women stay at that age range their entire lives with a lack of maturity. And a lot of men go and pretty much are followed by what they taught at that time. So they'll go and sneak and play games and be immoral and so on and so forth. But of course, polygyny is not for those types of individuals, for exceptional men, those who are operating within frame and growing and working in a direction to do it in a moral fashion. Now, can people do it and mess it up? Yeah, of course, there are people mess up stuff all the time. But if you want to do it right and you want to strive to make sure you are building something worth building and you can articulate it in a proper fashion and you get buy-in with your leadership, then I would strongly suggest, one, you operate within the framework. All right, what we did is we worked to create some tools for you. So many of you can't, and we don't have enough bandwidth anyway to work with me on my private advisory. So you don't have the 50 grand a year for the private advisory program or the 25 grand for the private mentorship program. Or perhaps you might not have the 10K for coaching. You know what I'm saying? But what we did was we reverse engineered what we did and put it into different playbooks so that you could start somewhere and be headed in the right direction. And by doing that, you can have your successes, you can stack it up, you can become that person you need to be in order to do it well and lead well instead of getting a whole lot of hell in the process and learn from a lot of the hell that I had to go through to learn how to get this thing right, if that makes sense to you. So I appreciate you being here. Now, if you want the playbooks, listen, we got a bundle we put together actually right before this. That's one of the reasons we were running a little bit behind. Is if you go to polygamybooks.com or polygamyplaybook.com and scroll all the way to the bottom, there's a secret button down there. It's going to be available for the next 72 hours. Where you can actually get multiple playbooks for the price of one. So you get this special bundle, scroll all the way to the bottom. You get this information right now. We haven't let anybody else know about it. The first people this year to even know. So you want to go ahead and take advantage of that. Be proactive. Go ahead and make that happen. Of course, we have the men's bundle. We also have the women's bundles and everything that goes along with it, with the playbooks. This is not a passive book. This, for example, can be considered a passive book because you're learning about our story and you have a few hundred pages and there are some exercises in it, but the playbooks are much different. These help you evaluate your situation and circumstance and customize for you to how to make your next best moves. Okay, you have to get it out of the stories in this book, which lays the foundation for you, but then the playbooks can go from there. And you say, all right, with that being said, I appreciate you being here prayerfully. The camera does not look like it came back on. It's just showing a picture of me. For some reason, our system hasn't behaved. Is what it is. If you have some questions, put some question marks down. We'll go ahead and address those. If not, no worries. We want you to enjoy your day. Go ahead, grab a playbook, reach out to us, and go from there. All right, yeah, the camera is janky, so it's, yeah, for some reason, I don't know. It's what it is. All right, y'all. Remember to be outstanding. And a wish changes nothing, but a decision changes everything. See you at outstandingpersonalrelationships.com. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.